Joining us now is Sheitan Atigarin with stories trending around the world. Hello, Sheitan.
Hello, Doctor. I was about to say good morning again, but we've been on here. Let's begin with what's trending. Of course, everything that is trending is focused on the president, who is in France. Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the First Lady Oluremi Tinubu are currently there. President Tinubu has extended an invitation to French investors, declaring that Nigeria is open for business. Speaking at a joint briefing with French President Emmanuel Macron, Tinubu emphasized his administration's commitment to fostering a favorable environment for investors. His remarks aim to reassure investors and strengthen economic cooperation between Nigeria and France.
And we hold it a responsibility by all of us to put together a food security program for private sector investors to come in, invest, with de-risk the fears that they may have. We've been working on stabilizing the security system in Nigeria, and we are getting closer and closer. We are doing better now in the area of security. I can assure all the investors here that Nigeria is open for business.
Well, after the joint briefing, a Rise News correspondent, Mademoiselle Adefemi Akinsanya, had the privilege of speaking with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the French president. When President Tinubu was asked if he felt cold, he responded, and I quote, "I brought the sunshine from Nigeria," and that video has taken over social media. Rise is trending. Let's take a look.
Just over here, we are Rise News from Nigeria. Thank you so much.
Hello, Nigeria.
Yes, sir. I hope that you have treated them wonderfully. We've had a great time so far.
Okay, we are having
Oh,
very good one.
great, great. I hope you're not too cold, Mr. President.
Not at all. We brought sunshine this morning.
I'm so happy about that.
Thank you.
Have a great evening. Bye-bye.
Well, still in France, the president and his French counterpart, Emmanuel Macron, exchanged jovial greetings in Pidgin English on social media yesterday. And in this post that has now gone viral, we can see on his X handle, Macron appreciating Tinubu for his visit. He wrote, now let me try my Pidgin skills. Now, big honor for France, dear President Bola Tinubu, to welcome you for this state visit as one big partner and friend of today and tomorrow. It still dey sweet me well, as I remember say I be young intern for French embassy for Nigeria that time. Now, the French president during the state's dinner also delivered part of his address in Pidgin. If you want to hear what that sounds like, listen to this video.
Bola, Oluremi, to welcome you for this state visit as one big partner and friend of today and tomorrow. And it still they sweet me well, as I remember say, when I be the young intern for French embassy in Niger that time.
On a much lighter note, a French band delighted attendees at the state dinner in Paris on Thursday by performing P Square's hit song Testimony or Taste the Money and Mama Africa by Brackets in honor of President Bola Tinubu. In a now viral video, the band delivered a vibrant rendition of the Afrobeat classic, seamlessly blending Nigerian rhythms with a French flair. Let's take a look.
Testimony, I'm killing the beat and I'm giving the heat, so hey. No, I'm giving them everything, I'm living my life, I don't have money, hey, I don't taste money, hey. Don't forget your sorrow, Makachuku, you go by and play for your motto. Hey, Sara, 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 the beat is Tana, Tana.
Additionally, Nigerian singer Bola Oluremi, popularly known as Asha, gave a remarkable performance with her live band as she sang Eya Daba for the president and President of France as well. Let's take a look and come back to chat.
ojúmọ́ tí mo rí rẹ̀ o. Àdàbà tí ń fò lókè lókè wá balẹ̀ mi o. Ojúmọ́ tí mo rí rẹ̀ o.
Dr. Why did you stop singing now? You have a great voice. We love
Asha is one of my favorite.
Now, before we go into the financial, you're still going to talk about the UBA deal. I wanted to just take a break here and touch on all the different things. From Adefemi, of course, having that brief encounter with the two presidents and their wives, to the singing by our French band, excuse me. What are your thoughts about these stories?
Okay, number one, I think it's a good thing that President Tinubu granted audience to Adefemi Akinsanya and Rice News. Oftentimes, Nigerian journalists find it very difficult to talk to our own leaders. They prefer to talk to foreign media. So I like the optics that it was encountered by a Nigerian journalist and a post to give, a few statements about bringing sunshine to France. And I like the way he was holding his wife's hand. The president, I dare say, is another lover boy that we have discovered. I like the optics and that winter coat that Mrs. Tinubu is wearing. I hope Rufai will not try to ask her how much it costs, but that is as an aside. Number two is about, President Macron himself. President Macron, as I pointed out, in 2002, as a student of National École l'Administration, came to Nigeria, Abuja French Embassy, as an intern. He came back a year after he had been president in 2018. He visited New Africa Shrine to enjoy Fela music. So he knows Nigeria very well. But the more important thing is that Nigeria represents a pivotal country for France, as France is trying to seek partnerships with other countries in Africa. Its policy with former French colonies in Africa having failed, or rather shaky. So it looks like France is moving on. And France, at the level of cultural diplomacy, business diplomacy, will try to strengthen ties with these African countries. Nigeria being the number one, it's of interest. France is also looking at Kenya, it's also looking at Zambia. State visit, the importance of it. President Tinubu had been visiting France. It was the last country he visited before he was voted in as president. It was also the first country he visited on August 24, 2023, to attend the French Africa Summit. But this is the first time we have a proper state visit for a long while between Nigeria and France. Again, consolidating the interest between those countries. President Tinubu says Nigeria is open for business. He also stressed the importance of the private sector. And it was in that regard that some of our companies are so connected with France. Zenith Bank opened a branch on Wednesday. Access Bank, the president of Access Bank, Agimokwede, is the president of the Franco-Nigerian Chamber of Commerce. And now the icing of the cake, on the cake, is United Bank for Africa chairman, Tony Elumelu, TOE as is popularly known, signing a memorandum of understanding. The bank, UBA, has branches in about 40 countries of the world. It's, one of the global major ambassadors of Nigeria in the finance sector. There are other, French, Nigerian companies who are doing businesses on both sides. The lesson here, of course, is that Nigeria should seek to take full advantage of the relationship so that it's not tilted to one side. President Macron says, yes, we are ready to invest in Nigeria. Nigeria, too, should say, well, we are open. We want to see that investment because we're going to look out for those investments. At the level of diplomacy, I can say that although yesterday I pointed out the number of times President Tinubu has traveled, but you cannot question the fact that business diplomacy is very important. But our duty as observers is to measure the quality of those investments. As for people complaining about Asha, it's actually one of my favorites. Some people are saying she should have gone to Mr. J. Law or Fire on the Mountain. And there is nobody...
and nobody seems to be on the run.
Now, that would have been embarrassing for the Nigerian president to say there is fire on the mountain. So I like the fact that she was patriotic. And she did very well. You know, she's one of my favorites. I won't run into her and, the witch. She calls herself the witch, senior witch, on the streets of Paris. And I think that all these ambassadors should be, encouraged. They should be promoted. So the people trying to gaslight Asha should please desist. She's one of the best that we have at the level of lyric and at the level of sound and sense and rhythm.
What would you say is your favorite Asha song? Eyadaba?
Eyadaba,
All right, Rufai, your thoughts. A lot has happened on this trip.
Couple of things. Number one, I think there used to be this sort of like a nursery song we used to sing about Nigeria and France. Then they'd say, Le Nigeria est la France, franc brûlé, la touche d'amour. So I think it was pretty much about the unity between Nigeria and France, and it goes way back. Although we started on very shaky grounds, and we all know those shaky grounds. The bomb situation, where they were testing out bombs on our deserts, and that did shake the relationship between Nigeria and France, and also the civil war, like I said yesterday. But we've been able to patch up things. And we all know how France loomed large in Africa. We all know the role of Foucault. I think I'll still have a proper time, maybe one of these days on the show, to tell the historical descent of Foucault and how France treated, most of these African nations. But going away from that, yes, we are going there also to seek investment, seek partnerships. Until we know that our salvation will never come from France, we'll never learn in this country. Until we know that our salvation will never come from the West, that our salvation will come from looking at what we can do for ourselves internally as a nation, we'll never learn. Because I'm seeing all of this narrative about Nigeria being a focal point in French relations now. After the same France have bastardized the lives of nations like Burkina and all of that, they're not trying to break free. But anyway, they're not breaking free into a nation that loves them with the Russia they're going to, because Russia too is going to use them and dump them. Until Nigeria gets to a point where we can start toe-to-toe with all of these Western nations, until we can actually achieve economic sovereignty to a point, as predicted by Adam Smith in Wealth of Nations, where he said it will get to a day that the colonies that were colonized by the colonizers will have as much economic fecundity as the people that colonized them. We're not going to move forward. Look at France. They can play band and everything. We can dance P Square and say, and give me a testimony and hear Asha song. France still holds the economy and the currency of most of these African countries that surround us. When will France let them go? When will this country be able to stand for themselves? Look at the echo currency, for instance. I'm sure Nigeria probably saw that France was speedily trying to go and hijack echo through Côte d'Ivoire and all of that before, that never came to light. So France still looms large, and it's constantly about France. When are we going to have Nigerian companies? Yes, Zenith and all of that, but when are we going to have Nigerian companies that are going to be here and also going to create products that's going to be used out of France, and we're going to get forex from them to come to our country, because that's where true development lies. We can go to state visit from here to Kutuwenji. It's not going to change anything. Where are we going to develop our own defense companies here too, that the likes of France too will also say, okay, come and partner with our own defense companies. We have some here that are doing great work. So except we exchange trade, not aid, because what we still pretty much went to do was this feeding bottle of going to beg France for things, nothing will move forward. But on the cultural side, I'm happy. Like you said, Asha sells us concerts a lot. But for those that are even blaming Asha for not singing Fire and the Match, you don't even need to sing of Fire and the Match. The Eya Adaba she sang is very apt. Because see, when Eya Adaba, before the Eya Adaba will come on you, it will be a nation that is doing well economically. That the people's rights are not being jeopardized. A nation that is thriving economically. As we speak today, the Eya Adaba is not perching on Nigeria properly because of the economic quagmire. People are suffering. So that song she sang is also very symbolic. Eya Adaba tí ń fò lókè lókè wá bà lé mi o ojúmọ́ tí mo ríre o k'Eya Adaba tó bà léyàn èèyàn náà gbọ́dọ̀ wo inú ara ẹ̀. The person has to check his own internal heart. And that's why I feel that song is also very apt. That's the way I translated it. But for you singing a French band to be able to sing a Peace Corps song is also an indication that our cultural icons are doing well. And that's why those Nigerians that are abusing Davido for speaking the truth about the plight of Nigeria, my word for you is that you cannot lace Davido's shoes. What he has done in terms of putting Nigeria on the map, most former presidents of this country have not been able to do it in terms of cultural diplomacy. So please, let's support our diamonds and all that. But as regards this state visit, when will Nigeria open their eyes? In our lifetime, we saw how China opened their eyes to the West. When is Nigeria going to shine their eye?
Shine your eyes. Thank you so much, Rufai. Let's take another story. The federal government on Thursday launched free CNG bus rides in Abuja aimed at easing transportation for residents. The initiative, which will run until January 6th, will provide free rides on popular routes across the city. The buses will operate along key routes including Mararaba to Eagle Square, Berger bus stop, Mararaba to Area 1 and Zuba. According to reports from the PIBA Media Center, there are plans to expand the project to include interstate commuter services as part of efforts to mitigate the effects of subsidy removal on the public. So we're seeing this CNG, the federal government launching this free CNG bus rides in Abuja. Dr. Ruben, your thoughts?
Okay, look, these CNG buses, we've been hearing a lot about them. The federal government of Nigeria, as part of its negotiations, I think third meeting with Labour over minimum wage, sometime either late 2023 or early 2024, I promised that to provide CNG buses to reduce the cost of transportation and also to achieve the objectives of clean energy. It was on the basis of that Labour then said, we will wait. But I've interviewed the president of Nigerian Labour Congress on another program, Tuesday Live, the Sunday Talk Show, where he said that, they've not seen any evidence, as at the time of the interview, of the federal government being committed to its own promise. Okay, maybe it's on the basis of that now that the federal government has finally acted and is providing these CNG buses. I think what has been advertised is something that should be audited. In other words, we'd like to hear from the Nigerian Labour Congress whether they were part of this ceremony and whether they think that this is the agreement they reached. And the bigger question is, how far will this go? CNG buses, yes, in principle, in theory, will provide, clean energy. It will also maybe have reduced costs. The president had been quoted on one occasion that the people have the right either to go and buy petrol that is costly, or they will embrace CNG vehicles and all of that and pay less for this transportation. But where are the stations for charging? I think that's the word to be used, for charging these CNG vehicles or for filling them with gas. Most people say they do not know, either in Lagos or in any other state of the Federation. So, in other words, even if this is a good idea, it's still going to take a while for people to feel the effect. And this CNG thing that the Nigerian government keeps mounting, as they do a smashing to address, the removal of fuel subsidy problem. I hope they are aware that, in fact, in the United Kingdom at the moment, there is an issue over net zero emissions. Now, many of the vehicle-making companies in the United Kingdom, including Ford, which says it's going to retrench about 800 workers within the next 3 years, and Stellantis, maker of Vauxhall, that's a vehicle brand, which closed its plant in Luton last week. It's a boss making a truck-making plant, van-making plant in Luton last week. So all this talk about CNG, net zero emission and all that, is not something that is casting gold. I think more original thinking, more strategic thinking will be required beyond the ceremony of just saying we have launched CNG buses, we have launched. The other day in a part of the Midwest, one vehicle exploded because there isn't already standardization with regard to conversion kits and all of that. So these are some of the issues we have seen in the last year. Safety, conversion kits, standards, stations where people can recharge or fill their vehicles, and the experience that we're hearing from the United Kingdom and elsewhere.
Rufai, very briefly, before we move on to our good stories and inspiration.
So a couple of things. Number one, there are many problems with CNG as we speak today. As regards the incident in Benin City, the person was using a fraudulent CNG tank, which has been pushed out. And please, it's only the recognized CNG tank that should be used. So the fault is on that man. But I get your point as regards standardization. There should be more work on that. Also, the problem of centers where you can get CNG gas, I mean, it's still a dime a dozen. You don't have a lot of those centers. Thirdly, the fact that CNG is a transitory gas, it's not the exact end point. It's just a transitory gas to be able to get to net zero, because you still have about 5 to 10%, emission threshold, even with CNG. Fourthly, my argument with the West is always, yes, they can make all the accusations about CNG and all of that, but we have these natural resources. So why don't we burn as much as we can? At least you should be able to provide that buffer for us. So I support those that say, okay, CNG, yes, people have talked about the fact that Malaysia and everything is trying to phase out CNG because adoption was a problem in those countries. The other problem I have with them is the adoption rates. So we've been able to scale back CNG targets a lot. Under TB Creative, I would say we're going to do 5 million CNG kits and all of that. Today, it's scaled out. I don't even know how much has been. If you calculate this amount of bus, I'm not sure we have close to 500,000 or 1 million CNG cars or vehicles in our country, because we have about just a little over 11 million cars or thereabouts, if my memory serves me right. Another point about CNG is the education and the awareness. Yes, in all fairness, the government did that, taking some of the influencers, them Two-Face and the likes, to India to see where the gas is being produced and the tanks are being produced and all of that. But most importantly, I think we need to audit the account of how much has been spent in CNG projects since the president announced it. What's the cost-benefit ratio as we speak today? Also, how much has also been spent on infrastructure? I know there's a presidential initiative of CNG. They said they're going to put about 250 billion. How much of that money has been put out there to be able to ensure that you can go to any CNG station and get CNG? I mean, those are the factors out there. But I do not subscribe to the West that keeps saying, oh, we cannot burn our own fossil fuel, because they have industrialized with their own fossil fuel. And Africa has a right to industrialize too.
Thank you so much. Before we end What's Trending today, let's take some feel-good and inspiring stories. Starting on the sports, Fiorentina fullback Michael Kayode was named the best Italian talent at the 2024 Golden Boy Awards after an impressive season with the Serie A club. The 20-year-old, born in Bergamo to Nigerian parents, began his career at Juventus before joining Fiorentina in 2021. Kayode quickly became a key player for the first team, helping Fiorentina reach the UEFA Conference League final. He also played a pivotal role in Italy's U19 victory at the 2023 UEFA European Championship and made his U21 debut in October 2023, contributing to a win over in Norway. And then the next story there reads, Osun State Governor in Osun State, where the governor of the state, Ademola Adeleke, distributed relief materials to 10,000 persons living with disabilities. The event was held at the Nelson Mandela Freedom Park in Osogbo, and it follows his initiative to enroll people with disabilities in the Osun Health Insurance Scheme. Governor Adeleke reaffirmed his commitment to supporting vulnerable communities and improving the welfare of disabled people. Meanwhile, on that same day, Adeleke and former President Chief Olusegun Obasanjo commissioned a new project in Osogbo, the state capital. During the event, as per usual, Adeleke showcased his dancing skills on stage. Let's take a look. Of course, I had to bring dancing governor. He's added some new steps to the steps. Yeah.
He's added some new steps.
Yeah.
But you see, what I'm not happy. I'm not a fulfilled man.
Why?
Because I thought that as Aremu, Matthew, Okikiola, Baba Yabo was there. Baba Yabo will have done Olusegun
What kind of effrontery is that? You are calling our father by name?
Baba Yabo.
President.
Matthew Aremu
You
Okikiola
people are something else.
Obasanjo. I thought our dear father will have slugged it
That's
out
better.
with our Jackson.
Yes.
Jackson, Michael Jackson, dancing governor, and we'll have seen a dance at all.
Yeah.
But I'm hearing Obasanjo dance too, but I wanted to see do you have the video? If you have the video of both of them dance together, I would like to see that particular video. So I've been corrected.
Please don't use Obasanjo as make your point.
Dear Bora,
Let's show some respect.
dear Bora. But apart from that, I'm really happy about what he has done for charity, to be able to bring about mobility for people with the wheelchairs and all of that. And all of this is a celebration of the second anniversary in office. But I would also like a platform where, apart from special occasions like this, people that need wheelchair will easily get them. Mm-hmm. A constant framework. And all of that can be put in a proper health insurance scheme for states. And these are the reasons why we're talking about the VAT. I mean, if states like Osun get more on the VAT and they're able to create more wealth, we'll have an appropriate platform where you can be able to cater to the needs and the resource of people. I'm just seeing there that Dino Melayotu was there. I would have wanted to have a dance-a-thon among the three of them. But I would have loved something new. So a proper health insurance scheme, I probably think that should be on. Also, in terms of creating a lot of jobs, I did some work many years ago on the Osun Youth Empowerment Scheme, and he did his work while it was on. I'd also probably look for a social buffer for the people of Osun State, to be able to do more. Mm. The part I'm not really comfortable with, is this idea of that every state government wants to do an airport. No, I think money should be deployed more into fixing the social needs of all of these people. But all in all, celebrations to him. And you should remember, elections are coming forth. He's going to get more opposition. But if it truly serves in the interest of people, the people will definitely come through for him. So congratulations for him. And I must have to say, Governor Adeleke brings me so much joy, the way he dances. I mean, he's somebody that brings a lot of light at a time when there's a lot of darkness in this country with his dance step and everything. He's just a happy man. He doesn't stop him from achieving whatever he's going to achieve. People can call him all sorts of names. Look at him. Jaxi Bobo. Jaxi Bobo. Jaxi Bobo.
Just to put it like this, that the enthusiasm that Governor Adeleke brings to the work is very important, it's very entertaining. It's very obvious that since he assumed office 2 years ago, he has been enjoying what he does. So a very jolly good fellow. Now, in terms of achievements, you mentioned insurance. There is an insurance in place for persons living with disability in Osun State. He has addressed that. On the airport, there is some controversy. Lai, whom I know, who is a member of the technical committee that was set up for that Osun airport, they invited experts. The committee invited experts. We then said, look, it had to be transferred from Ido Osun to Governor Adeleke's hometown. Now, the controversy with that airport that you mentioned is whether it should go to Iwo and not to another place. But in terms of the technical details, I think Lai Oriowo, who is a member of that committee, provided details. In terms of Governor Jackson Adeleke's performance in the last 2 years, well, he provided, projects in all the 333 wards of Osun State. There are 333 wards in Osun State. He broke the jinx of salaries not being paid. For 16 months, since he assumed office, he has been paying salaries. Number 3, he has been constructing and rehabilitating roads. In other words, he is also providing digital transfer systems within the state. And I'm saying this, so that we don't focus too much on the entertainment side. He's singing and dancing. The important thing is that he's a very hard-working governor. Not to use the cliche that he's an action governor. That's what they call people like him who deliver. The politics is tough, but he seems to be weathering the storm. After all, the chairman of the APC has said in the next election in Osun State, they will capture the state. But I hope that the people of Osun State will be motivated by performance and assess Governor Adeleke on the basis of his performance and not the desperation of the APC chairman to capture every state, from Edo to wherever.
All right, then. Thank you so much, Dr. Ruben. Thank you so much, Rufai. It has been a pleasure holding it down for Ayo and OG this week. Thank you so much.